On to the A final. Daniel French qualified fastest and starts in pole position, with once again championship leader Anwar Barul-Smith on the front row. Josh O'Hagan is joined by Russell Endine on row 2. Paul Crawford starts on grid 5 with Ben Shaw on grid 6. Sam Fisher and Scott Cheney start on row 4 with Thomas Barrett and Stephen Crutchley rounding out the top 10. 24 karts now, with the 4 qualifying from the front of the B final to take this first A final at Rye House. Out of the last corner, the pace kart is still at the head of the field. He pulls into a cut through now. He's left it very late. Daniel French has got to get on the power, and I think Barul-Smith has already got the whole shot into turn 1. A rueful shake of the head from French, and he's in second place. Paul Crawford trying to go down the inside of Josh O'Hagan, can't get it done, and he'll have Russell Endine on his bumper, heading down a hairpin 1, who pulls out from beside him and goes down the inside. Oh, and I think Scott Cheney loaded up Ben Shaw, and he's a big loser along with Sam Fisher. Down into hairpin 2 with Peter Kay. Look at that 4 wide coming off hairpin 2. It's got to funnel down to single file for Pylon. When it's almost there, they're almost through cleanly. Oh, there's contact. Peter Kay on Stephen Billett, and he's been pushed wide, I think, by Josh Walsh. But it's Anwar Barul-Smith leading Dan French. Josh O'Hagan, Russell Endine, Paul Crawford, Scott Cheney in 6th place. Down the inside of Thomas Barrett, Stephen Crutchley, he's through. Good move into stadium. Will Barrett try and come straight back at him into hairpin 1? No, he won't. Crutchley runs out wide. He'll have the inside for hairpin 2 though. Back on board with Ben Shaw. He's got trouble of his own in the shape of 45. Ross Lester, Lenny Wood. 22 there is Liam Hitchin. Out of last corner, and Barul-Smith is beginning to stretch Daniel French. Josh O'Hagan and Russell Endine, gap developing to Paul Crawford. And Lenny Wood's getting a run on Ross Lester for 11th place. Just saw it at the side of the camera shot there. And he's through, and Liam Hitchin is next man up. Coming down the inside of Ross Lester in a hairpin 1. Oh, he had to get very close to the tyre barrier, and has moved it another few inches. And he loses out to kart 38, which is Matt Ogle. Into Pylon. Settling down now into a long snake, but out front it's Anwar Barul-Smith continuing to lead. His advantage is now 1.8 seconds. He took a second out of Daniel French on that last lap. Stephen Billett trying to make progress on Moritz Mello, but what he's gained he's just lost. He started 21st and he's now back in 20th. Oh, Russell Endine for a long way back on Josh O'Hagan, as O'Hagan tried to put a move in, I think, on Daniel French. It was all a bit messy. And Rob Nash has lost out to Shane O'Neill. So that's O'Neill moving forward. Not quite sure what position that is just yet. Positions changing quite frequently. Anwar Barul-Smith nearly took 2 seconds out of Daniel French on that last lap. Perhaps no surprise with the battle that's going on behind. Paul Crawford down the inside of Josh O'Hagan now, towing with him Sam Fisher. Scott Cheney finds himself boxed in. Can't make progress as others do. Stephen Billett has passed Moritz Mello again. Well, it's all getting fairly frantic here. Ben Shaw around the outside. Will he go up the inside of Scott Cheney? Makes a bit of a hash of that and lets Thomas Barrett back through. Lenny Wood trying to find a way past Stephen Crutchley, can't get it done. Will this race ever settle down? Barul-Smith's lead, 3.6 seconds again, but now it's from Russell Endine. And Endine is pulling clear of Daniel French, Sam Fisher, Paul Crawford. Barrett trying to hold off Ben Shaw in the stadium. And Stephen Billett has got ahead of Rob Nash, as has Peter Jankowski. The leader's tipping into hairpin 1. Well, the characteristic of that corner has now changed as the tyre barrier has been moved. It appears to be chase it in as fast as you can and try and sort it out somewhere past the apex. Paul Crawford with Josh O'Hagan on his bumper. Another lap goes in the books. Still 3.6 seconds. Anwar Barul Smith fractionally faster than Russell Endine. Sam Fisher down the inside of Daniel French. He gets it done. So Sam Fisher moves up to third. French under pressure from Crawford, heading down a hairpin one. And Crawford is going through. Sam Cheney coming from a long way back on Josh O'Hagan. And I don't think Josh O'Hagan's too pleased with Scott Cheney's driving as he leans on Thomas Barrett, invites in Ben Shaw and Stephen Crutchley. And Josh O'Hagan's lost a lot of positions in just the space of a couple of corners. And I'm quite sure he'll be pointing the finger at Scott Cheney for that one. I'm surprised we haven't seen any more penalty boards out at start-finish. That may start to change. There's something out there now. Well, it was a penalty board, and I'm not sure who that's for, but I'll make a stab at it and say it's Scott Cheney. Anwar Barul Smith on the classic line for hairpin one. That's possibly why he's the fastest man on the circuit right now, as everybody else just piles down the inside. Not quite sure what that hand signal means. From Matt Ogle, once again Cheney leans on Thomas Barrett. And Ben Shaw, and Cheney sticks his nose in again. Can he get the position? Can Ben Shaw pick up one cheaply? Side by side. Well, I think he was forced to do it, but he may pay for that move as Josh O'Hagan's got his wheels down the inside. Lenny Wood on the outside, maybe hung out to dry here by O'Hagan and Stephen Crutchley. There's more contact. Crutchley being a bit ambitious. And Ross Lester, I think, has come through as the big winner out of that one. And what's Liam Hitchin doing? Effectively takes out Lenny Wood. Well, Peter Kay pointed Peter Jankowski through. At least that's probably what Peter will say. Peter Kay, on the other hand, probably was saying I was pointing out there was somebody spun there. He'll be hoping there's a penalty coming for Jankowski. Well, it's been a fairly busy air final. There's no denying that. I'm not quite sure what Paul Crawford's doing there. We'll give him the benefit of the doubt and suggest he's just rotating the airbox. But it was down in the naughty zone where the jetting is. You better be careful. That does not go down well with the clerk of the course. Ben Shaw coming very narrow from a long way back. Runs out wide. It's effectively a block pass on Thomas Barrett, and he'll lose out to Ross Lester. Lester goes through as well. So Ben Shaw up to 7th. Thomas Barrett down to 9th. But he gets the spot back into pylon. And Stephen Crutchley is still looking for a way by Josh O'Hagan. Oh, and Ross Lester leans on Barrett once again. Further forward, Paul Crawford trying to run round the outside of Scott Cheney. 2-3 wide. Oh, it all pinches up on the exit of Stadium. Down a single file. And Crutchley is ahead of this group now and into 8th place. Oh, more heavy contact. Scott Cheney through on Daniel French. Somebody will tell you that karting's a non-contact sport. Well, not around Rye House, it appears not in heavyweights. Josh O'Hagan gets past Ross Lester. Liam Hitchin still running, but I'm fairly certain he must have a penalty. Oh, more contact and a bit more. Stephen Jankowski and Peter Kay. Hitchin gets his nose down the inside. Jankowski's gone back through and Billett has joined in and gone through himself. A fairly serene run through. Hairpin went well. Safe for Oliver Hall, rubbing Thomas Barrett up the wrong way. Matt Ogle cheekily takes the spot, runs in deep. Hall will have to drag race him to pylon. Here it goes, and Hall's got back through. Oh, Peter Kay inside of Stephen Billett. We've been here before. Maritz Mello goes back through. It's like a revolving door. You make a position, you lose a position. You have a bit of contact, you lose another one. Liam Hitchin coming through in 8th place ahead of Ross Lester. Josh O'Hagan, Thomas Barrett, Oliver Hall. Anwar Barul Smith is 4.2 seconds clear of Russell Endine out front. Sam Fisher in third, over a second further back on Endine. Scott Cheney though 4 seconds further back ahead of Daniel French. Oh, Peter Kay late and hard, piling in on Maritz Mello. There's your race leader. It's been fairly easy once he got out front, and it didn't take long to get out front. Scott Cheney now has pulled clear of Daniel French, heading for fourth on the road, but I'm pretty certain he must have a penalty. At least one. Another lap goes in the book, and Russell Endine has just chipped a tiny tenth or two off the lead, but stays 4 seconds down. More heavy contact between Kay and Billett. And Mello might get a run on Billett over start finish. There's a driver standards warning board out there, and I suspect for it's most of them in that line. Down the inside of Ben Shaw running wide. Stephen Crutchley goes through. So Crutchley up to 6th. O'Hagan looking for a way past Leicester. That would be for 9th place. Side by side into pylon. Will Leicester be able to keep the spot? I think he has. Closing stages now really. Anwar Barul Smith's heading for another victory. Russell Endine on the podium again. Sam Fisher having a great run in third. Matt Ogle looking to the inside of Thomas Barrett, can't get it done. Barrett stays in 12th. Peter Jankowski's caught up with this group and is now trying to find a way past Shane O'Neill. And here he comes from quite a distance. Manages not to take anybody out. Coming through to start the penultimate lap, Anwar Barul Smith leads. Josh O'Hagan has got around Ross Leicester and is now into 9th place. Stephen Billett, Stuart Osborne fighting over the scraps down at the back of the field. Final lap board is being made ready. Down the inside once again, Matt Ogle trying to find a way past Thomas Barrett. That's at least the second or third time he's tried. Oliver Hall has caught up with Ross Leicester. Is he prepared to follow? It appears so. Lenny Wood's in danger of being lapped before the finish. Anwar Barul Smith moves on to his final lap. Russell Endine has got the best part of a second on Sam Fisher. Well, 3/4 at least. Daniel French coming through in 5th place, but I think he'll finish higher than that due to the penalty for Cheney, and there should be some penalties as well in this group. Ross Leicester in 10th is the best part of 20 seconds behind Anwar Barul Smith, almost half a lap. The race leader is probably heading into pylon. In fact, he's already through it. And Russell Endine's under pressure late in this final by Sam Fisher. Anwar's heading for a 4th win of the season, but who'll be second? Fisher up the inside in the last corner. They're side by side and it's clean off the corner. It's a drag race to the line. Russell Endine finishes in 2nd. Sam Fisher takes a superb 3rd.
And in 3rd place, moved up a little bit, he started on grid 7, was Sam Fisher. In 2nd place today, started on grid 4, was Russell Endine. But today's winner of final 1, started on the outside of the front row, was, I'm sure he won at Bayford as well, one of the races, was Anwar.
You stand to my right, Sonny.
Fastest lap times from final 1 set the final 2 grid. 3rd place in final 1 for Sam Fisher, but his fastest lap nets him pole position for final 2. This time Russell Endine is on the front row with final 1 winner and championship leader Barul Smith on row 2 with Scott Cheney. Rob Nash, Stephen Crutchley start on row 3. Peter Jankowski out of the first of the B finals, with Liam Hitchens starting on row 4. Shane O'Neill and Ben Shaw round out the top 10 of what is now a 26-car grid. So Sam Fisher controlling the pace. The pace cart has pulled off early this time. The Union flaggers are ready. This is more like it. And Fisher's just dropped the hammer and gone. Scott Cheney pulls in ahead of Anwar Barul Smith, who finds himself down in 4th place and holding off Stephen Crutchley and Rob Nash. Fisher's managed to hold onto the lead, but only just, and Scott Cheney's going down the inside of Russell Endine. And following through with him was Anwar Barul Smith, and Endine suddenly finds himself down in 4th place. Side by side with Barul Smith, Crawford takes to the curb and apologises, but I don't think he slows down. 3 wide out of hairpin 2, where we've got used to that in heavyweights. Oh, Ben Shaw goes round, and he's lucky not to collect somebody. Oh, indeed he has. I think that's Matt Ogle in the tyre barrier on the outside. Well, there's a driver warning board out. Sam Fisher comes through in the lead, ahead of Scott Cheney. Russell Endine back ahead of Anwar Barul Smith. Stephen Crutchley in 5th place, ahead of Rob Nash, and then there's a gap to Liam Hitchen. Who's coming through after that? I think it's Peter Jankowski. Yes, it is. But under pressure from Paul Crawford, who leans in and comes from quite a distance and is shaping up to pick up a penalty. That's at least 2 I've seen that could be. Back on board here. Who are we with? We're riding with Daniel French, who's gone past Paul Crawford. And he's trying to find a way past Jankowski. Nothing doing there. So Sam Fisher leads. Cheney, Endine, Barul Smith down the inside of Endine, leans in, opens a gap big enough to put his cart through by the 2nd apex. And Barul Smith is up to 3rd. Peter Keir leaning in, I think that's Josh O'Hagan, and then prevents him taking a 2nd apex. All being watched under the eagle eye of Andy Cowell as observer on track at that point. Paul Crawford down the inside of Daniel French, and that is allowing Peter Jankowski to get away. Shane O'Neill trying to find a way past French as well. And look at the speed that Barul Smith is showing. He's closing on Scott Cheney for 2nd place, and Fisher is not getting away. Looking to the inside, he's had a lot of speed down here into Stadium, and he's done it again. Anwar Barul Smith moves into 2nd behind Sam Fisher. Scott Cheney down in 3rd place. There's Endine, Crutchley and Rob Nash, and that group of 6 have broken clear of Liam Hitchen in 7th, Peter Jankowski, Paul Crawford and Daniel French rounding out the top 10 for now. There's Hitchen, well clear of Jankowski. Looks set to have quite a lonely race in 7th. Back on board with French. Crawford trying to find a way past Jankowski. Nothing doing there. Manages to rub tyres though. Gets a better run out of that corner than French did. And now Russell Endine has got his wheels inside Scott Cheney at the 1st apex and cleans through at the 2nd. Stephen Crutchley under pressure from Rob Nash there at the back of that smaller group. And we're back on board here with French. In the hairpin 2, and Scott Cheney is going backwards through this final. And now I wonder if he's got some kind of problem. I'm sure none of his competitors would wish it upon him, but he might have some kind of mechanical problem. He's certainly looking at his card. I wonder if he might have a carb going down. So Anwar Barul Smith is closing on leader Sam Fisher. At the same time, Russell Endine is sitting on his bumper. This is shaping up to be could be quite a final here with these 3 going at it. This is your top 3 from the 1st final, just in a different order. Oh, there's more contact, and a drag race is on between Fisher, Barul Smith and Endine. Well, are we going to get a final where all the contact is up front? It wasn't in the last final, but it could be in this one. So the top 3 now breaking clear. And I think that was Rob Nash coming through in 4th place. Maritz Mello trying to hold off Oliver Hall. And 24, Peter Mills, for what is 13th place. Hitchin has got ahead of Scott Cheney. Definitely think Cheney's got a problem. And here comes Anwar Barul Smith. He's looking to strike. He's done this a few times before. He gets his wheels inside before the first in apex and goes through before the second. Now the thought running through Sam Fisher and Russell Endine's mind must be that Anwar Barul Smith ran away with the first final once he got out front, and it looks as though Endine's not prepared to wait around long. Chasing groups coming through. Oh, Peter Kay leaning in on Ross Lester. Gets away with it. Peter Mills trying to find a way past Oliver Hall. Stuart Osborne ahead of Maritz Mello. And then the rest of the tail of the field coming through. On to lap 9. Barul Smith's lead is 0.7 of a second. Ahead of Sam Fisher still. Right on his bumper, Russell Endine. Thomas Barrett trying to find a way past Oliver Hall, who doesn't seem to be going particularly quickly in this final. There's Cheney, Osborne and Mello. Cheney now out of the top 10. Josh O'Hagan leaning on the bumper of Josh Walsh. He's got ahead of Lenny Wood. Peter Kay down the inside of Ross Lester. That's a nice move. If he's got it done. Side by side. Well, there had to be contact at some point. And indeed, Scott Cheney has broken down and is out of this second day final. Paul Williams trying to find a way past Stephen Billett, and he's done it. Ross Lester also going backwards. So Paul Williams up to 20th. Stuart Osborne down the inside of Maritz Mello. Or was that a defensive move? Perhaps it was the latter. He's kept the spot, and that's the important thing. The race leader, Barul Smith, comes through to start lap 11. His lead is still 0.65 of a second. Back on board with Daniel French. Into stadium, trying to chase down Paul Crawford. Here comes Endine. Now can he get it squared off and turned ahead of Sam Fisher? Yes, he can. Now he's got enough time to perhaps make a challenge on Anwar Barul Smith before the finish. Paul Crawford has tried and failed once again to put a move in on Peter Jankowski. Hall tries again on Maritz Mello. I think he might have got it done this time. Josh O'Hagan's trying to find a way back past Lenny Wood. Inside at pylon, that'll do, and he's done it. Ooh, more contact from Peter Kay on Lenny Wood, or is it the other way around? You be the judge. Barul Smith's lead is out to over a second on Endine, so it's got an awful look of another final going the same way as the last one. Paul Crawford piles through on Peter Jankowski again, right on the right side of legal. Oh, Josh O'Hagan on the wrong side, piling into Mello and letting Josh Walsh get through past the pair of them. And Lenny Wood's going to demote O'Hagan as well as a further penalty. Thomas Barrett having a poor second final, having shown quite well in the first. Your race leader, Anwar Barul Smith, it looks fairly tame compared to what we've just been watching here. But it's interesting to note that Russell Endine's taken the best part of 2/10 out of Anwar Barul Smith on that last lap. There may be some life left in this final. There's certainly life in it down here. Get your elbows out. We're down a hairpin one again at the back of the field. Oh, and it's fairly clean this time. Rob Nash onto the bumper of Sam Fisher. Anwar Barul Smith coming through to start lap 14 is 17. And that gap has reduced again. It's now down to less than half a second. So it's beginning to look like game on at the front. Russell Endine has got the smell of victory wafting into his nostrils. if he can just catch up with and get past Anwar Barul Smith. This is the battle for 6th place. Liam Hitchin, Paul Crawford, Peter Jankowski, Daniel French. Whoa, down the inside, Jankowski on Crawford. Well, I don't think Crawford can complain. He's done that enough times already on Jankowski. And actually, it's Daniel French making the most of it. Jankowski just going to have to hold off Paul Crawford as best he can. Shane O'Neill still following in 10th place. Stephen Crutchley is detached from the leading quartet, and it is just about a 4-way dice now. Anwar Barul Smith is down to just a 0.3 of a second advantage. Indeed, it's gone. Russell Endine is on his bumper. Sam Fisher will expect to close in as the leading duo begin to fight over the winner's trophy. Can Rob Nash get on the podium? So it's 6 inches or less from the bumper of Anwar Barul Smith. Russell Endine coming round to start the penultimate lap. Looking for a way by. Can he look down the inside into turn 1? Not close enough. Doesn't even try. He's trying to get as close as he can, probably for hairpin 1. Anwar runs out a little bit wide. This could be a chance now for Endine. Will he go narrow? No, he won't. He's prepared to follow. He's got to be careful though, because Sam Fisher's right there as well as Rob Nash. The battle for 6 comes piling down to the hairpin. Jankowski from a long way back on Daniel French. A lot of contact. Well, Jankowski's dropped to the back of that group. Peter Kay as Josh O'Hagan goes down the inside of Stephen Billett and fails to get the move done. Lenny Woods on the wrong side for hairpin 2. The final lap board goes out. Anwar Barul Smith is just a lap away from a 5th win of the season. Russell Endine, has he got anything left? I think there might have been a little bit of contact there in stadium. Barul Smith looks over his left shoulder, and here comes Russell Endine. Side by side, pod to pod. Barul Smith not happy. Sam Fisher's momentarily in the lead. Russell Endine coming back at him, runs him out wide and has got the lead on the back straight with only 2 corners to go. Into pylon they come. He's in there first, that's the last good passing spot. Sam Fisher's got one last chance on a block pass into the last corner. There's a late sort out going on in the field, but out of the last corner, a first win of the season for Russell Endine, and he narrows Anwar Barul Smith's lead in the championship to just 9 points. He finishes in 3rd place, and they have a big 61-point gap on the chasing pack, while Sam Fisher returns after missing Bayford Meadows with 2 podiums at Rye House. He may be a factor in the championship run-in later in the season when the drop scores kick in.
In 3rd place, we've already seen him up here once today. He's having a good season at the moment. 3rd today, started on grid 3, was Anwar again. In 2nd place today, he started on pole, but got pushed back a position. 2nd place, Sam Fisher. And familiar faces down the front again. We've already seen him up here in final 1. But the winner of sprint final 2 today was Russell Eden. Thank you very much, guys, and hope you've all had a good day. We'll see you at the next round, which is at Ella Park, I think.